the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Receivers, and this time he lost one and it's picked off.
And Brady and Moss hook off great football players, showing why they're great.
He's got it. 20, 10. He's got it. End zone. Touchdown Titans.
Well, happy Wednesday, sports fans. How y'all doing tonight on a Wednesday, middle of the week, hump day stuff? I was just checking out a bunch of the sports book stuff I did while we were out in Vegas, and I got a bunch of winners here. I got to get mailed in, get my money back, and get that coming in. Had a pretty good picking on some of that sports book stuff out there while we were out there in Vegas. Hey, couple things. Want to thank our sponsors starting off tonight. Premier Properties, Steve and Nikki, always want to thank you. Norm at the Freaky Tiki. I want to get into a couple of our new ones. Of course, we got, our Tailgater Deluxe Hertz rental car now. Got some new things kind of happening. But anyways, a little behind schedule, man. Just getting home from work. Wow, what a day. Traffic down here in Tampa is nutso. I just don't know where all these people come from and what they do, but want to start out by having a big shout out to these guys, Team USA. It was a pretty cool Olympics. I didn't catch a whole lot of it. Of course, I'm into hockey, so I did watch some of the hockey stuff. And I think that was kind of the highlight. I like the bobsledding stuff. It's kind of cool to watch. Some of the skiing, some of the ice skating stuff is kind of cool to me. But what about the women's hockey, men's hockey, and both beating up on Team Canada? I think that is really, really cool. So hats off to the Olympics. They train hard. They make a lifelong dream out of it, and it's cool to see dreams come true. So the Olympics is over, and it was fun watching some of it. So I don't know if any of you guys are into any of that, but it was pretty unique. So that just wanted to send a shout out to the hockey teams, mainly from my perspective. I definitely enjoy hockey. Always have since a kid. I was a big Red Wings fan growing up, and then since I've lived in Florida, I like the Lightning quite a bit. So being part of the Tampa media now, I get to sit in up close to all the Tampa sports teams. Speaking of that, it looks like our governor, Rob DeSantis, definitely was a big part of helping the Rays try to get this new stadium going. There was a lot of breaking news on the Tampa Bay Rays. Looks like they're going to be moving into Tampa out of the St. Pete area. And everything is kind of moving forward under the new ownership. So that's kind of cool. And I guess I learned also that the new ownership for Tampa Bay Rays is really good friends with the governor. So I guess it always helps to know someone. And looks like they're going to get the property for kind of free in a way. But if you're into baseball, into Tampa Bay Rays, check into that and see what's going on. Big shout out to Profitable TV, Scott Farrell and the Prophet. If you guys are into NBA basketball, college basketball with March Madness starting up and you want to get your brackets done and try to win some money, I would definitely look into these guys. They don't lose, man. It's just crazy how well these guys do at picking spreads and over-unders and individual, player points. These guys do a bomb-up job. I've known Scott Farrell for a lot of years, and he's a good friend of mine. They're good people. Check into their app. And if you want to get prepared for March Madness, this would probably be the best place at Profitable TV. Get that out of the way. This made some news this week. If you're into NASCAR, they were in Atlanta this week. And this Hocevar kid driving for Spire Motorsports is, some say, the next Dale Earnhardt. We'll see. Kid drives with an attitude. And Kyle Petty put out this quote, Carson Hocevar is going to be a superstar. He's got the attitude of Earnhardt. He's got the brashness of Tim Richmond. He's got the desire to win and the passion of Kyle Busch. And he didn't show up to make friends. And that's for damn sure. This guy definitely, man, I have hiccups every time I get on air. It's crazy. But this kid drives, man, with an attitude. And he takes a lot of chances. He puts a car in a lot of, tough spots, compromises. But he also, he's doing well. And so we'll see what this Hocevar kid does. We'll see if Kyle Petty's prediction is true. And we'll see if he ends up getting his ass beat this year. I definitely think he'll end up in a fight before the year's over. That's my hot take on that. He'll definitely get in a fight before the year's over, but somebody will jerk him up out of the car and it'll be cool to watch. And the Atlanta race, it was pretty good race, I thought. There's a lot of passing. Atlanta's always been a cool track. Michael Jordan, 23-11, excuse the hiccups, guys. 23-11, won again, back-to-back, Daytona 500 and Atlanta with the same driver. It's kind of ironic with the lawsuit that Michael Jordan had with NASCAR, kind of won his fight with that, and now he's kicking ass and taking names in the first two races of the year, so that's kind of cool. Another one that's kind of got to do with NASCAR is this little kid. This one kind of hits home to me. When Kevin Harvick, Keelan's dad, was in ASA, I got a chance to race with him a lot with the team I had in ASA. And it was kind of funny because a good friend of mine, MJ, was very, very close to the Harvick family. And MJ comes down every year for the Daytona 500. She's a little older than me, dealing with a lot of health problems. But we all used to hang out at Daytona Beach at her condo, and Kevin and Delana would drop Keelan off, and MJ would watch them. And so as this kid was growing up, we were changing diapers and, hanging out at Daytona and then going to the truck races and then going to the 500 and dropping Keelan back off at the RV. And to see this kid coming up is really kind of cool to me. This kid is really, really good race car driver. And to see that, Kevin was able to bring him up the right way. This kid's got a great attitude. He's going to be a winner. He can drive the wheels off a race car and just signs a contract with Toyota Racing Development at his age. So this kid will be set for life. He claims he wants to be like his daddy. Is after this report came out, Keelan went public and said, I just want to be like my dad. I want to make it to the Cup Series. So I have no doubt he will make it there and be there. So congratulations to the Harvicks and Keelan. Wish nothing but the best. Can't wait to see you guys next time we're at the racetrack. A lot going on. We hit a little bit on this guy, Mike Evans. There was a lot of things happen this week, over the past few weeks. After the season, everybody knows Mike Evans was pissed, but let's face it, the guy couldn't stay healthy between his hamstring and broken collarbone, didn't make his 1,000 yards in 2025. And then, the Bucs self-destruct. When everybody had them pegged to be top 5 offense, I had their whole wide receiver core. I had predicted they would have 3 1,000-yard receivers last year, but everything just self-destructed. And whether it be the offensive line banged up, the defense banged up, Evans banged up, Godwin just coming back off injury, Bucky going out with the shoulder injury, it just on and on and on, trying to say, Mayfield was playing with injury all year long. Either way, they did, they just didn't do well. And to see Mike Evans come out publicly through his agent, which his agent has been making big news down here in Tampa. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But, Mike Evans with his free agency this year, in the past, Tampa Bay never would let him make it to free agency. They always – Jason Light drafted this kid. It was actually Jason Light's first ever draft pick was Mike Evans. This guy's on his way to the Hall of Fame. He's got great stats. He's a great wide receiver. He's a great person, great with the community. And, it surfaced last couple weeks that Mike is going to test the waters of free agency for the first time, and said he's going to snoop around and see what type of market is out there for him. And, it's kind of heartbreaking, as we talked before, everybody wanted to see Mike retire a buck. As things are progressing down here in Tampa, I don't think he's going to retire a buck unless he gets a one-day contract when he does decide to retire, which he probably will. Everybody does. They go back to their roots of where they came up and where they want to retire from. But I definitely think Mike Evans is going to play for a new team in 2026, especially after, Derek Gilman's interview that I was blessed enough to sit in on this week. A friend of mine did an interview with Derek Gilman. Derek Gilmore. And really kind of just through talking brought up some things that, weren't even asked. And we'll see where this goes. But, a question was given to Gilmore, okay, so some of these teams that Mike may be interested in, Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, why would he want to leave Tampa Bay where it's warm, go play in cold weather outside? Guy's got a hammy issue, this, that, and the other thing. Well, there's a lot of things that go into chronic hamstring injuries, but cold's one, dehydration's another. And Mike's agent said, well, practicing in 100-degree weather all the time and dehydration is really bad on Mike's hamstring. And kind of almost the way it came out in the questioning and talking and answer session that went on this week, it almost sounded like Mike don't like the heat. I mean, guy's played his whole career in Tampa and doesn't like the heat and claims dehydration is a part of his chronic hamstring injury. So, and said the agent went on to say that Mike don't mind the cold. So who knows what's going to happen? Does Mike go to the Bills? Does Mike go to Kansas City? Does Mike go back to Tampa? Does he go to Houston, to his hometown area, and play in the Dome with Stroud? I don't know. A lot of talks come out. Jason Light was interviewed yesterday also at the Combine, and they talked about the franchise tag. Franchise tag's a big thing we're hearing nowadays, during free agency, where these guys get the franchise tag, and whether or not they would franchise tag Mike Evans. Well, they all claim, they got a good enough relationship. They don't want to, strap Mike to a franchise tag. And Jason kind of slipped up a little bit and said, well, with all the cap money and everything, that Mike's franchise tag would be over the cap. So, I don't think they're going to franchise tag him for a couple reasons. The cap would be one of them. Mike's making right around $20 million right now. If they were to franchise tag him, the franchise tag for wide receivers in the NFL right now is $28.8 million. So that would kind of take the Bucs out of contention. Now, you know, when you're talking cap, we touched a little bit on it last week. This cap stuff to me is A, confusing. B, is just smoke and mirrors when you take and restructure all these contracts and everything they do to get these caps where they need to be to get players. It's like, you know, almost getting your taxes done. You know, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, you think you're going to owe money, and somehow or another you ended up getting a refund. That's kind of what it reminds me of. By the time the tax accountant gets done playing with it and works their magic, it's like, surprise, surprise, I'm getting a refund. Same thing with you know, the salary cap. It's like they sit and work all these numbers. They play with this, they play with that, they release this guy. And how these teams eat some of this dead money, it's just beyond me. It's like going to the casino and, you know, just slapping, you know, money down on a roulette table or on, you know, playing craps or something. And it just is so crazy to me how these owners can slap these big money contracts and wipe them away like they never existed. But I guess when you're a billionaire and you have the money that some of these team owners do, you know, 10, 20 million, 15 million, 30 million, 50 million, it isn't really a whole lot of money in the big scheme of things. And they all just want to win. They all want to get to a Super Bowl. So it's kind of cool to watch. And this, if you guys are into following the numbers, if you're into following cap, if you're into following what players are making, what they're not going to make, dead cap money, and you say, okay, Jimbo's, why are you talking about all this? I'm not into all that. I'm a fantasy football player. I could give a shit less. Well, sometimes it's kind of cool to me to try to predict where a player is going to go. And we've talked about it in the past. I like to do a lot of predictions. I like to do a lot of hot takes. I like to kind of play the game. It's fun to me I actually like drafting. We were talking in one of the leagues we're drafting in right now. And a bunch of us guys in the league, we were talking the other night, you know, why we draft certain people. Everybody's got different values. I actually like to kind of draft guys, vets anyways, that are in free agency. Because to me, as the draft's going on, it's kind of fun to have a guy that's in free agency and you don't know if he's going to go with the team that he's playing for. You don't know if he's going to get released. You don't know if he's going to get cut. You don't know if they're going to re-sign him. You don't know if they're going to franchise tag him. And it's kind of cool as the draft's going on to draft a guy that you know might not play for the team that he's playing for, and then he lands on a team. You end up with a stack that you weren't thinking you were going to have. So to me, that's a lot of fun. It kind of makes the draft fun to be on the clock, and breaking news happens. And let's just say, for instance, you know, you got Josh Allen in the first round, and here we are down in the 8th, 9th round, and you're on the clock, and all of a sudden you see Mike Evans, you know, signs a contract and gets picked up by the Buffalo Bills. And now all of a sudden, boom, you hit Mike Evans, and now you got yourself an instant stack. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. The rush of some of that stuff is fun to me. So when some of these guys, you know how you get halfway through a draft, they all want to turn the clock down. Oh, man, it's 12-hour clock, slow draft. That's the way we wanted it in the beginning. Oh, we're halfway through the draft. I'm getting bored. Let's drop the clock down to 4 hours. I kind of like keeping the clock long so that it kind of drags on through free agency and gets close to the combine and gets close to the NFL rookie draft and stuff like that. So, but anyways, that's why we all draft one right after the other, because we're all degenerates and we're all addicted to drafting. I like to tell a lot of the guys when they find out how many leagues I'm in, we always talk about it. It's like, it's an addiction. And I don't really think the fantasy football part of it is the addiction. I honestly think the addiction is drafting. So I got a draft addiction. That's kind of how I look at it. But back to this franchise tag a little bit, I wanted to talk about some of the numbers. So when you see a guy, okay, let's just use Pickens, for example. Okay, so Pickens was making the money he was making. Jerry's getting ready to franchise tag him. Well, not bad pay for a wide receiver, $28.8 million. That's more than Pickens made this year. So it's kind of funny in the politics and the traps that the owners set for themselves to have to pay some of this money. So wide receivers, we just said $28.8 million for the franchise tag. Quarterbacks, $47.3 million for a franchise tag quarterback. Tight ends, $16.3 million. There's a lot of free agent tight ends right now, and that's good money. That's Travis money. $16.3 million for a tight end if you get franchise tag. Running backs, 14.5. It's not bad to be a running back. Why do you think you don't see very many running backs get franchise tag? Because they can pay these guys $6, $8, $4 million, $3 million for a backup. So you go to franchise tagging some of these running backs, it's $14.5 million. So the franchise tag's got some ups and downs. It's got some good points, bad points. If you're into all that, like I said, check out Spot Track. It's pretty cool site. I'll throw it up there so you guys can kind of see the name. But they really talk about a lot of the contracts, how long the contracts are, expiring contracts, incentives, so some of the guys like to keep track of incentives. It's kind of fun to see, what incentives are in some of these guys' contracts. So it's a neat place to follow, especially if you're into all of that. So as we're talking about franchise tags, I pulled up, and you guys all know tight end. I like tight ends. However, I'm not real big into tight end premium leagues. I don't know why. I just like the position, I guess. Played tight end a little bit in high school football. So I don't know. I like the tight end position, but I'm not really big into either two tight end leagues or even the premium for a tight end. At least not the big tight end premiums. I don't mind 0.5 or whatever, but when these guys want to start playing 1.5, 2.0 for tight end premium, to me, I don't know. I'm just not into it, but I'm in some, don't get me wrong. But anyways, this guy here, Isaiah Likely, this is an interesting one. If you watch his career when he went to the Ravens, John Harbaugh talked this kid up from day one, said he was a freak, said he was an outstanding athlete, smart guy, great seam route runner, great across the middle, more of a wide receiver than a tight end, but can block, don't mind blocking, kind of in the middle of the road of size, but yet this guy is a free agent. And if you look at everything that's gone on at the Ravens, he wants out. They signed Andrews to an extension. They got Kolar behind him. Kolar's a damn good tight end too, but he just don't get the playing time between Likely and Andrews both. But anyways, this is an intriguing one to me because the landing spots that this guy could become a number one and get paid way more than he's making now and end up being a number one. This guy, he did have a foot injury this last year, was in and out last year, but if you follow this guy and see some of the interviews he's got going on, he's not happy at the Ravens. And so to me, there's a lot of things I think that will come out later after this season or during this season on really what the locker room was like at the Ravens, between Lamar Jackson, between John Harbaugh, between the ownership, between Todd Monken. I just think there was a lot of bad blood there. I don't know if it was the way that, Lamar Jackson did his contract with him or what, but I kind of think there's some uneasiness. And to see Likely say this last week, his time is up at Baltimore. I think I don't think it'd be kind of cool to see him end up at the Giants, but I mean, Theo Johnson, that kid I think is going to go off this year, and I just missed drafting him in a draft. Guy sniped me. But and in that league too, I got Jackson Dart, so I wanted to stack. But and with the new offensive coordinator there, I think, you know, Nagy being the guy that, you know, a lot of the Travis Kelce stuff, his days at Kansas City, you know, he uses his tight ends a lot in motion, a lot across the middle stuff. So I was thinking, well, great home for him would be at the Giants, and he can compete with Theo. It'd be a great 1-2 punch at tight end. But there's going to be a lot of tight end movement. So if this kid does make it out of Baltimore and he ends up on, you know, going to another team, look for him to be a number one. So kind of watch for him later in the drafts, because, you know, some of these guys that, you know, just here's another one, you know, Mac Jones, okay, quarterback. I honestly think, you know, the 49ers have said, oh, we're not going to let him loose. We need a backup for Purdy. I don't know, man. I think Mac Jones is going to end up getting a starting job this year. I really do. Whether it be, I don't know. I don't know if Minnesota's so upside down with their cap. I don't know if they can pull it off or not, but I think it would be a great landing spot, Minnesota, for Mac Jones. So Mac Jones is another sneaky one to watch. Another real sneaky one, which is not a free agent, running back. He is not a free agent. He's still in contract for this year with the Lions, is Montgomery. We talked a little bit about Montgomery last week. I think Montgomery could be on his way out of Detroit. You know, the Lions can say, oh, we're in chat with him, we're talking to him, da-da-da-da-da. And, you know, but I think Montgomery's tired of playing second fiddle to Gibbs. And I think the handwriting's on the wall. And the Lions have said they'll let him leave. But, you know, it's a business, and I don't know if they'll let him out of his contract, or if somebody's got some trade capital and some cap space money. I think a great home for Montgomery would be the Giants. Okay, now you got Scatterbo with the injury, major injury last year. Now everybody's kind of saying that Scatterbo's out of the boot and he'll be ready to go for OTAs and minicamp and yada, yada, yada. Dudes, that was a gruesome injury with Scatterbo. Not to mention he was a rookie, right? Not to mention Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator for the Bears when Montgomery was at the Bears. So to me, again, the Giants is a sneaky place for Montgomery, not only to be the number one till Scatterbo is 100% healthy, but even the 1-2 type punch, that's kind of a sneaky spot for Montgomery if the Lions let him loose. Not, you know, I'm not so sure. They could offer him a great piece of money. The Lions got decent cap money. We'll see. But there is chat. Montgomery kind of wants out and wants to get a chance to become a number one, such as Algier. Now, Montgomery been a number one. Montgomery has proved at a number two he can be a number one, where Algier hasn't really had the chance to prove he could be a number one. I believe he can be, but, you know, Montgomery's a little bit different story. So that's kind of an interesting one that's out there for you guys that are in drafts, getting ready to be in drafts. And while I was poking around doing some of that stuff to get ready for the show, I ran across this stat. The guy started talking out that was bringing this out. It wasn't Warren Sapp that actually I was listening to. This story got picked up that Warren Sapp kind of put out there, but, you know, because of all the talk of Kirk Cousins, you know, going to get released probably this week or early next from Atlanta. And I don't even know why they would do that unless they got some type of trade going. And then they no more than get out of their mouth that they're going to release him and take the cap hit, take the dead money, and then they turn around in the same breath and say they're not so sure Penix is the answer. So either Matt Ryan has got something up his sleeve to where they're going to go after a vet. There's nobody that they're going to draft this year, to me, that is ready to, you know, that is as capable of Kirk Cousins. But I just saw this stat out there, and the guy that I was listening to started off with how much money Tom Brady had made over his career. $333 million, right? And you think, okay, that's pretty cool. Guy got 7 Super Bowls, 35 playoff wins. And then, he brought up Aaron Rodgers and he said, okay, yeah, Aaron Rodgers made more than Tom Brady, $395 million, 1 Super Bowl, 11 playoff wins. Oh, okay. Tom Brady always has had the reputation of not being greedy and surrounding himself with weapons and, paying for a good overall players to surround himself with so he'd take, pay cuts. So that was kind of understandable. Well, then they sit there and they say Kirk Cousins, $322 million. Guy got just one playoff win. And the guy was making just $10 million under Tom Brady. And then they turn around and they say this. Now, of course, I come from Michigan as a kid and, watching Matt Stafford play football and suffering through all the losses and all the bullshit up there as a Detroit Lion fan. And then you hear that Matt Stafford has made the most money as a quarterback in NFL history. $403 million. Got 1 Super Bowl win and 7 playoff wins. The guy can sling the football, but that just blew me away to see that Stafford was the most paid quarterback in the NFL ever at $403 million. So it was just kind of a cool little mind teaser when I saw the stat actually on paper. I mean, I heard the radio interview and I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay. And then when he said Matt Stafford, I was like, man, I'd have lost betting on that for sure. I would have never guessed Matt Stafford was the highest, money guy. But anyways, so that's kind of where we're at. It'll be interesting to see how these franchise tags work out. We got, what is it? These guys got till, March. Opened up on February 17th and runs to March 3rd on the franchise tag. If it's if they get franchise tagged it's a 1-year deal, it's basically like a placeholder, kind of like a kicker in a rookie draft, in a vet draft. It's a placeholder for a long-term contract if they get it all worked out. But they got to do all that before July 15th. So that's what's going on right now. Is the franchise tag is kind of a lot of what we're going to see right now over the next couple weeks. These guys are all these coaches and scouts are going to be out there at the combine deciding how they're going to fill the holes, whether they draft it, whether they free agency it, and then free agency opening up, the tampering deal. And then I think it's March 11th. We get going on free agency full bore. We'll see where some of these guys end up. Guys, there is free agents scattered. I mean, it's kind of like the OC coaches. It's just free agent. So I think somebody that's really looking for a running back that really has to decide what they're going to do. And the only one that really knows is Andy Reid, what's going to happen with Hunt, Pacheco, and the rookie they got out there, where they end up going. A lot of people think Love could end up there. I think Love's going to come off the board a little quicker than Kansas City. It'll be interesting. If you look at most of your mock drafts, it shows Love ending up at the Saints. Good landing spot for Love with Kamara on his way out. Everybody else, all the young guys there are hurt. They actually got a pretty decent running back core, but just can't stay healthy. And you got Kamara that can't stay healthy and is kind of on his way out. And so interesting to see where Love is going to end up. Either way, in a rookie draft, I don't have him as my number one in so many drafts. I think some of my leagues, I'm more apt to go wide receiver. The wide receiver rookie draft is phenomenal. There's a lot of good guys. I'm probably leaning more towards drafting in most of my fantasy leagues wide receiver. If I have a lot of guys are wanting the 101 running back with Love, but it really falls off after Love. So we'll see where he ends up. I think the Saints is a great home for him. Kansas City would be a great home for him. I'm sure anybody would love to have him. Definitely going to end up being the landing spot that is where he goes. And, what we were talking about Montgomery, which I don't think is going to happen this way, but maybe Montgomery could end up a Jet too. Now, if you see Bryce Hall get traded, I would definitely go after Montgomery for that purpose as a starter for the Jets, because that's another home. He's got, connections with the head coach there, coming from Detroit. So but I don't think the Jets are going to let Hall get out of there in a trade. The Jets already have 2 number ones. They're not hurting for picks. They're hurting for coaching. They're hurting for ownership. They're hurting all the way around. But if Hall does get moved and get traded, I would look for Montgomery because the Jets have the number 2, and I don't know what their other round. We touched on that last week, but it's still another number 1. They could very well end up with Love. And then you would have Montgomery as the starter and Love possibly there. They got a lot of other holes to fill, but it'd be intriguing if they do trade Hall. But I think they're going to tag him. I think Hall's going to get franchise tagged. I don't think they're going to let him out. Hall can say all he wants, that he really doesn't care where he ends up. He knows it'll all work out. Well, it very well may work out, and he's going to go ahead and be happy with that $14.5 million and just sit back and see what happens. But that was just another landing spot that I thought would be good for Montgomery if Hall did go. So we'll see what happens there. We got a few drafts. Oh, something I did want to talk to you guys about. I don't have a slide for it. And you guys all know how I feel about collective leagues and bracket leagues. But if you guys are into college basketball, March Madness, last year I played in a guy's league that we were in football leagues together. He did a bracket, and it was cheap. It was like $20 for one bracket, and then you could buy 2 extra brackets for $10 a piece, but no more than that. Well, I just spent the $20, just did one bracket, and the pot ended up being like $7,000, and I came in like $1,700, and it couldn't come at a better time because with the motorcycle accident last year, I got hit just about this time last year. I got run over on my motorcycle sitting at a light, and the guy hit me in the back. I didn't even see it coming. But anyways, I was laid up. So I was off work and yada, 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 and ended up winning that March Madness thing, came in second. It was kind of cool. But Cyborg's got you can hit him up on Sleeper. Cyborg, he's got Hotter Than Hell is the name of the Sleeper bracket. It's called Hotter Than Hell. If anybody's interested, I got the link if you guys want it. But he's taking on guys right now. He'll start building that pot up. That is one guy I do trust that runs brackets. Cyborg's a good dude. He's from Texas. He's a big rock and roll fan. He runs some leagues, football leagues. He's he's on the air here and there. He's a great dude. He's fun. He's funny. And he runs a very well run. He's got a Discord too. That's pretty cool. He's real active in everything he does. But if you're into March Madness and you want to do a great bracket and have a lot of fun, look up Cyborg, and the name of the league is Hotter Than Hell. And like I said, if you're interested, hit me up, DM me, call me, text me. I'll get you the link. But that was one thing I wanted to touch on. Cyborg sent me an invite again this year. Kind of cool. Along with some of our other dynasties that we're doing, got some guys showed up from the other place. I was real surprised to see him this week, guys. It was a great reunion. It was great to chat. It was great to talk about everything and get back on the same page, and glad to see you guys joined some of our leagues. And going to be kind of cool to see the money get spread around, not all go to one place this year. So that's kind of cool. Anyways, that's just about going to be a wrap. I don't think I have anything. Oh, yeah. Up there at the top right, you guys will see the loud and clear. That's another little sports update thing we do with baseball season coming. That's going to be more baseball oriented. With a lot of the Tampa media stuff I'm doing, I kind of wanted to push some of the baseball stuff because we're doing a lot of interviews, a lot of journalism stuff with that. So that loud and clear, if you guys are interested in that, it's going to be a lot of baseball stuff. It's only about 20, 30 minutes, but it's every single day. It's only about a 30-minute show. It's more update about Tampa Bay than anything. If you're into Tampa Bay Rays, it's going to be more geared around that. With the Tampa Bay journalism thing I'm doing, guys, to be honest with you, you'll see a lot of the things I'm doing are kind of geared around the Tampa Bay area. But NFL football is my big thing. I talk a little bit of sports, a lot of different stuff, just like the NASCAR stuff. It's a passion. I like talking about it. Next week, we're going to touch base on buy, sell, or trade. Guys, it's this time of year to where you can get some great values for guys. Guys that were injured last year, use Tyreek Hill, for example. Look where he's fallen in drafts. Do you take a chance? So buy, sell, trade. Are you getting off of guys? Okay. Everybody's down on Stroud. Right now, you can buy Stroud cheap. Is he used up already and not none? No, I don't think so. I just don't think they got a great quarterbacks coach there. I think this guy just needs to be coached. He needs, he was real lucky in his rookie year. He played great football. He's struggled of late. So the guy, he's just throwing the ball to the wrong people. But I think Stroud's a great football player. I think he's a great quarterback. So what I'm saying is, starting next week, we're going to talk a little bit about buy, sell, trade. What are you doing? Are you trying to get off some people? Are you selling? Are you just like right now? I'm buying all the Mike Evans stock I can get because no matter where he ends up, he's going to be the number one, no matter where he goes. Okay, the guy just produces numbers if he's healthy. But even when he's not healthy and he's out, you still gain enough points with Mike Evans to where it's worth the buy. A lot of people ain't touching him. I mean, he's fallen in drafts. So, it's just like Shaheed. You can pick up Shaheed way down. I'm buying all the stock I can get in Shaheed. He's a free agent. Do I think he ends up leaving Seattle? I don't think they let him out of the room after winning the Super Bowl. They didn't trade for him from New Orleans for no reason. And he's a great number 2 behind JSN. So, but we're going to start talking about buy, sell, or trade. What's it time for you in your dynasty leagues? This is going to be pretty much geared towards dynasty and Devies. Buy, sell, trade. What are we doing? What do we think? So, if you guys got any questions on that. Next week, we will have the text line fired up. I had to go through and it was a legal process to get the text line signed up because you got to sign all this paperwork, all this liability stuff for people phone numbers. But anyways, so we got that done with the FCC. That's all done. So starting next week, we'll have the text line fired up. You guys can text, ask questions. If you want to actually come on air, you can do that. I can send you a link. You can get on air anytime you guys want to be a guest. You can be a guest. If the caller wants to come on air and talk a little bit about his text, we're not taking phone calls live. I'm just not going to do that and open it up to all the madness that creates. But I am going to do a text line, and if you are, if your text does get used and you want to come on air and chat about it, you're more than welcome to do so. Just hit me up. You guys know how to get a hold of me, especially now that the app is up and running. The DFS Advisor app is up and running. That's the best way, guys, to get through to me and get in touch with me. Most all you guys that are in the leagues with me, y'all have my phone number. We talk, we text. So, like Jimbo's has always said in the past, I'm not all about getting big. I'm not trying to run a bunch of collective leagues and make money off of you guys. I do it out of the passion for the camaraderie of having the leagues. I do it because I'm a degenerate and I enjoy it. It's fun. And so I'm not worried about having, I've got enough of my own leagues. I don't need to start 500 new ones. I don't need to start 20 new ones. So the ones that I do have are solid. The ones I do have are active. We've got just a couple more to do. Of course, the best ball thing we're going to do, because I just throw them up there for guys that like to play best ball. They're, no touch, no fuss, no muss. I don't have to worry about them. So if you guys are in the best ball, you'll see that. We got a couple pirate leagues getting ready to drop. We got a couple chopped leagues getting ready to drop. We got our gold Inner Circle Dynasty, which will be the last one. That is going to drop the night of the NFL rookie draft. So if you want to get in the last Inner Circle Dynasty, that will be the time to start looking for it. And then we have one more Devy League left. We did 6 Devies. I got one left. That's probably going to drop. I don't know. I got to be careful. I'm going on vacation in May. I don't know. Let's shoot for June. Give some guys a chance to see where some of these rookies fall. I'm not in a big hurry, guys. I really could care less about filling leagues right now. It's, it's fun at times to do some best ball stuff. It's fun to do some rookie drafts ahead of the draft, but it's just no pressure, no fuss, no muss. So let's talk about the last Devy, because I got a lot of guys in line wanting the Devy. It's expensive, guys. The Devy leagues are not cheap. So just so you know, to get into a Devy league, it's $300. It's $100 a year. And it's $300 up front. So save your money. I want active guys. You guys know how I am. Save your money up. I got a waiting list right now. So if you want to get into a Devy, let me know. We got one more. We'll do that probably right around June. And then, like I said, the last regular stand will drop the night of the NFL rookie draft, and that will be Inner Circle Gold. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. I can get you on a waiting list right now out of that 12-player league. Where's that one at? Hang on just a second. Right now we're at 6. We're halfway home. So right now I got 6 guys interested. Nobody has paid yet. So, and that's the regular standard standard Dynasty. That's $50 a year, the $150 up front. So, if you guys are interested in Inner Circle Gold, let me know. And other than that, we got no Saturday show this week. I have to go to I have to travel this week, and so no Saturday show this week. We'll be back at you next week, Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. And if any of you guys are drafting, enjoy your drafts. And remember to always respect your league mates. And we'll see you next week. Jimbo's out.